Hey guys, Gavin here. And yesterday I decided to take this really cool Predaplant version of Despia to my locals. Um, I wasn't expecting it to be there long since I had work, but turns out the local was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, and I ended up winning the entire thing. I only dropped a game all day, and it was against Drytron. And let me get right into it. This deck is actually really cool. I actually think it's the best deck in the room if no one knows how to hit it. It's just really, it's a lot of gas. It's the entire reason to play Despia, but just even better in some instances. So getting into the list, I played triple Orpha Scorpio. If a lot of you guys don't remember what this card does, it's okay. You send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and you special summon a Predaplant monster from your deck. Then you have Bitwisp, which combos really well with Orpha Scorpio. When it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Predaplant monster from your deck to your hand, and if a monster exists with a Predaplant counter on the field, you just special summon it back. So it's an extender too. Then this is one that a lot of people used to not play, which is Komedo Sundew. Basically, he's just poly. So in the combo, you discard off with Orpha Scorpio, special summon Komedo Sundew, and you fusion summon into the new fusion monster. There's also a bunch of other cool things you can do with this card. Predaplants also have like a bunch of secondary effects where if your opponent has a monster with a counter on it, they get a cool other effect. And this one, you can poly with monsters with Predaplant counters. So it can come up sometimes, but this isn't a very counter-heavy version of the deck you're going to see. I just don't think the counters are the best way to play this deck, but there are some cool counter cards in here, and you're going to see them. And when they come up, they come up. And then we got Bofa. Bofa is just a polymerization. That's really all you use it for. He can also recur himself back, but that doesn't come up that much. And then the entire reason to play this package is Darlingtonia Cobra. So this card is special summoned by a Predaplant monster. You get to add any fusion card from your deck to your hand. So one polymerization spell card or any fusion. So you could add branded fusion, super poly, instant fusion, or there's another one archetypally. You can add poly too, which I play in this list. A lot of people don't play. I just want to try some stuff out. I can even run through some the basic combo after too, if you guys want to see it. But yeah, that's the Predaplant package. Now getting into the other monsters. I still play 2 Aluber. You just want more starters to get to branded fusion. You could even grab Banishment if your hand is nuts. I just think keeping this card in the deck is worth it. You just need another starter. 2 Fallen of Albaz. In the game 3 in the finals, I drew 2 of these and was still able to full combo because, you know, we still play the polys. So yeah, you need to play these as an engine requirement. Even if you don't play the Loopers, you have to play the double Fallen of Albaz. Next, we play triple Edge of Chain just to get the Edge package growing. You're still a poly deck. You still want to fusion as much as possible. And this also gives you access to Chimera, which the original Predaplant version of this deck doesn't really have the best access to. It just gives you more power going second, which I think this deck needed. The other cool thing about this deck is you can play more going second cards. So I don't play hand traps in my Despia version, but here I wanted to test if I could cut some more engine, whether or not I can play more hand traps. And you know, the engine by itself is so strong. I'm playing 49 cards, and honestly, it wasn't an issue at all day. Because you just have so many ways to fusion. Like, it's just a pile with going second cards. I know Grinder and all of them played more hand traps at the YCS, but I thought it might have been smarter to cut down on them. I don't think hand traps are as needed. Maybe if Punk and them get more popular, and I know Punk's like the most popular deck, but you can still beat that deck without hand traps. I just think testing out smaller hand traps and more board breaky cards is the way to go right now. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I just want to try out just the Veilers, and the Veilers worked out just fine. I was still able to see it when I needed it. And we still sides roll, so it's fine. And for the last monster, we have Fairy Tail Snow. A lot of people play the other one, but I think if you're playing the deck correctly, it doesn't come up as much, and the disruption through snow is just so much better. Now for the spells, the reason to play this deck is Branded Fusion. Predaplants by itself, they're very powerful, but you need Branded Fusion to go off because the Branded engine just has you end on so many more interrupts. It can actually put you into the Predaplant engine as well by setting Biplisp. It's kind of like Tragedy in a way. We played triple opening and only 2 Aluber because you want to max out your ways of seeing Aluber. You're not trying to use 3 of these in a game. The entire idea is just to get Aluber as much as possible. That and this combos very well with Biplisp. It combos very well with a lot of discard cards in this deck too, because we're also playing the chains, which a lot of people aren't playing. So it just gives you a bigger advantage. The entire reason to play Predaplants is Preda Practice. If you don't know, it's reverse bird call. You special summon one from your hand and then you add a monster. If you special summon Orphis Scorpio, you can add Biplisp, and then you can Orphis Scorpio effect to send Biplisp. It's actually really cool. And then Patchwork with the 2 polymerizations. The one thing I like about this version over the Despia version is that you have another gas card. Just another way to push through interruptions and just to push through mostly anything is really cool. The only issue is that the Predaplants don't fix the issue of losing to Ash Blossom, but it kind of does. You're going to see here in a second that it does actually have another interruption through an Ash. And then we get the second cards is triple Super Poly, triple Chalice. I know a lot of people are cutting this card from the deck. I still think this card's really cool. I don't think it's as good in Predaplants just because all of them are dark locking you. So you're not locked into darks per se, but a lot of the cards say dark fusion, and their fusions are only dark monsters. So if you're in an area with all Despia players, this deck is cracked. It actually beats the mirror like 100%. But if you're up against more like Sword and Soul decks, it's actually smarter to bump up your Despia package, like playing the more Alubers or more Albazes, maybe opening up the 3 Albaz, just so that you have more Outsuit or Shijao board. And Chalice is just Chalice. I think Chalice is just really good right now. Next, we have triple Allure of Darkness. I didn't like this. I actually might end up cutting this. Allure in this deck is a lot like Allure in Shadal's. You don't plus off of it like you do in Despia. So this is going to be the first cut. And then for the power 1-ofs, we have Foolish Burial, Instant Fusion, and Call by the Grave. Instant Fusion by itself is 4 interrupts. So yeah, it's really cool. And then Predaplanting for the traps. Let me get the spells off the board so I can show you the trap cards here. Basically, these are the only 2 traps you play, and they're both searchable in combo. Predaplanting puts a Predaplant counter on every monster in your opponent's side of the field by sending a Predaplant monster from your deck to the graveyard. The reason why that's good is because Predaplant counters make the monsters level 1. So that's insane for multiple reasons. So let's say you're up against Sword Soul. You can just Predaplanting, send a Biplisp, and then immediately all their monsters become level 1 and they cannot Synchro Summon. Kind of sick. This card is also kind of bad, though, against Drytron, because then they just make a giant Mu Beta Fafnir. But it's whatever. That's never going to come up. Basically, this card's just really, really good. Yeah, if you have out Draco's Stapelia, all of their monsters' activated effects are negated now, so that's cool. Then Branded Banishment. Still, I go up against a lot of people who don't know what this card does. It is Call of the Haunted, then Super Poly. And you don't play Branded Red because you don't play enough Despias. That's basically it. That's the main deck. We have 49. Might cut the Allures. Actually, we'll probably cut Allures. But other than that, I think this deck list is actually pure gas. And I'm just going to try to look for better ways to improve it. Moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck is also a little strange. I only played 14 because I was testing around with other cards, and I didn't realize I was on 14 until after the tournament. So the first guy is Ambulance. Ambulance is nuts. Basically, when he's Fusion Summon, you can add 1 Predaplant monster or Predap spell or trap from your deck to your hand. From your deck, graveyard, or face-up extra deck to your hand. Oh, that's disgusting! Okay, so I didn't even realize that. So you can just keep recycling cards. This is really cool because when it's summoned, you can add where is it? Predaplanting, or you can add the, where's the spell? You can add Predapractice. This doesn't come up as much, but this does. So yeah, this just gets you into more engine or into an end board piece, which is really cool. And then it's a lone fire too, where you get to tribute a monster from your side of the field or your opponent's field with Predaplant counter. And it tributes for effect, not cost. That actually does come up. And basically what happens is that you lone fire out a Predaplant monster from your deck, meaning you get to special out Darngtonia Cobra and you add a fusion. So that's cool. This card's really cool. It's a level 5, so it's a instant fusion target too. It's also really cool because if you tribute it off for something, you can go into Branded Fusion and then go for Albion. So you have a free Snow Engrave, which is something this deck has over a deck like Despia, where Despia has to use Lubellion a lot of the times turn 1, where this, it doesn't really come up as much. Dracostapelia, I only played 2. It might come up that I might need 3. I know a lot of people are on 3. Just negate activated effects. Sometimes I use my super polys to make a second one of these, so I always have another disruption. But yeah, this card is cracked in this deck. And these are the only Predaplant monsters I play in the extra deck. A lot of people play the other guys too. There's that new one, Predapower, and then there's the Triff. Triff doesn't come up as much. In testing, it just isn't good unless you're going up against mostly Despia. But yeah, maybe I should test it out. Maybe I shouldn't. I just like my extra deck. There's a couple cards I would change, and I'll let you guys know actually going through here. Going into the Albaz Strikes cards. So for the Albaz branded engine, these are what I played. So I only played 2 Albion, 1 Lubellion, 2 Mirror Jade, and a Titaniclad. I thought this was perfect. The only things I would change is Lubellion at 1 is actually fine. I see a lot of people complaining about this, but this card doesn't come up as much as this in the engine. I actually want to bump this up to 3, and that's really it with this, is that the third one of this actually came up a lot, especially since we're playing the Veilers, like we're playing more lights, so it can be made more. There was times I actually couldn't activate Branded Fusion, but it was already so far ahead of my opponent that I was winning the game anyway. But yeah, this is perfect. I actually hard made this today with Branded Fusion. It was really cool. Starving Venom, because it's Starving Venom, it's super poly target, and he's a big boy. I played 2 of the Despian guys. I thought these guys were really cool. You can make them with Lubellion and Mirror, not Mirror Jade, Lubellion and Albion. They come up. The burn effect of this, not as much. The 2500 attack of this, and like the being able to make everything go to 0 comes up a lot with OTKs. And just to follow up when it's leaving the board is actually really cool. That's really it with these 2. They're also cool for super poly targets because you need super poly targets other than this, just so that you can play through most boards. You want to have your cards resolve as much as possible. And I found it happening a lot that I'd special summon out the Aluber. They tried to negate it, and I had to super poly. I'm like, well, let's super poly this away so it resolves. That comes up a lot more than people like to say it does. And I think that's the reason why super poly is good in this deck as opposed to other decks. Then we have 2 Chimera. You can easily play 1. I know the Predaplant versions usually only play 1 of this, and I think that's fine. I played 2 because I had 2 in my extra deck. So basically what I would change from this is that I'd take out this, add an Albion, maybe a Dracostapelia, but there's also another card, which is Millennium Eyes. And Millennium Eyes is really cool because if you already have full combo, you don't have to do summoning Ambulance with Instant Fusion. Or if you draw Instant Fusion late game, you kind of want a second card to make. So I think Millennium Eyes is a lot better in some instances. And that would put me at 15. And finally, for the side deck, it's the exact same one I used for Hartford, give or take. I just think the side deck's perfect, and I've never really had a fault with it. Just triple Dim Barrier, Red Reboot. These cards are cracked. Dark Roar for combo. Twin Twisters because you don't want to lose the Floodgates, Zombie World, Banshee. This just eats so much of the meta now. There's a lot of people in the area on ABC, and there's also a bunch of other decks where this just destroys them, like Earth Machine. I can go on. Flunderies, oh my god, Flunderies is free. And then, last card is Droll. Droll just hits everything in a good way. It doesn't hit Sword Soul, but we already have a really good Sword Soul matchup no matter what. I just think the Branded engine is the best engine, and the only thing you really side in for Sword Soul actually are Twisters and Reboot going second, and then Dim Barriers going first. That's really all you need. If you see them, you win the game. I mean, if they see their Floodgates against you, they win the game too. But if you see the Twisters, oh, it's clean. But yeah, this is my deck. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comment section down below. And I'd be more than happy to talk to you about everything. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day.